I trained myself to stop second guessing my decisions. First, because it was really exhausting to always be stuck into what am I doing now? What am I doing next? But also because I realized that the decisions that I actually regretted were the ones that I did not take fast enough. The ones, where I don't know if you've ever lived that, where you were stuck into a situation and you should have left way earlier than that, but you stayed in there for too long. Or, the moments where you were stuck between, oh, there is this option A and this option B, and none of it is really working for me, and none of it is really making me feel that my life is going to get better. This is going to cost me so much, or this is really something I don't want to do, but both options look really bad. And you got stuck into this middle. And I don't know if you remember when you finally took a decision, how much relief there was, how much momentum. And also that actually you were still safe, like nothing really, really critically bad happened. And I feel sometimes I spend too much of my life stuck in this moment of like, like a lingo where I was not making decisions. And that actually cost me a lot. And I don't want this for myself moving forward. I really want to be able to have this momentum, have this moment of relief happening faster so that I can be in motion rather than stuck in the middle. And I also wish you wish you that. So I thought today I might share what I've learned about how I'm making decisions differently and how I've trained myself to be able to make the decisions faster, because it could be super helpful for you if you're somebody who say, yeah, I tend to be stuck, or I tend to be procrastinating on making decisions. I think this is a skill that is very important for, yeah, to build for your future, for your general, your fulfillment in life. So yeah, stay with me while I'm sharing my best tactics. And one of the things that I first realized when I started to think about how I make decisions is why I was postponing them. And a lot of the time, sometimes it was just that I was stressed. I was just overwhelmed, and it was obviously not the best moment to make a decision. So I'm glad I postponed a little bit. But it was also because sometimes you just like, what are the options? The options are maybe something that brings you more uncertainty. They brings you risk and the consequences that you are like, actually, I'm already tired, I don't want to have to deal with that. But it's also like, that if the results are not appealing, if you really can't see a future with what is in front of you, sometimes it's the reason why you're procrastinating is because your brain is like, what are you doing to me? Like, we are okay right now. Why would you make a decision that creates these negative consequences or these things that are not even appealing to you? Like, what are you talking about? And it's also sometimes I realize is because I was underestimating the importance of that decision. Like maybe I was busy with something else or overwhelmed with something else. And then, I kind of postponed the decision because actually I did not think that it was urgent or important to even deal with it. And you know how it happens when the universe is like, knock, knock, time to take a decision about it. It happened a few times where I was just forced to make a decision. And yeah, I think it's because I underestimated that actually there was a problem there or something that needed me to act on it faster and make a decision that could have put the things rolling way faster. So I had to really starting noticing when I was actually procrastinating on these decisions, because sometimes it was just completely not being aware of it. Sometimes it was overwhelmed. Sometimes it's that, I was really afraid of the uncertainty, or like the lack of future possible happiness or anything coming out of these decisions. And I also find that sometimes I was postponing making decisions because I was kind of like sticking to my old decisions. Like, for instance, I joined last year a program that was a career transition program. And very early in the process, I burned out and I started being treated very, very poorly by people. But, the old version of me, I decided that I was going to do this program for a year, that because I wanted to learn something and I wanted to evolve. And I had at some point to decide to actually leave behind any training or any interaction with that program. And it was a very hard decision because the whole version of me was like, you are letting me down. You made a past decision. Why are you now changing your mind? And in these moments as well, I realized I was postponing the decision because I was telling myself, look how great I am. Look how I'm still trying hard. I'm trying to find a solution. I'm trying different ways to engage that would fit better for me. So I was kind of in this mindset. I'm respecting myself more by not making this decision to leave completely. And at the end of the day, it turned out that this was the wrong decision. And if I had left a little bit earlier, I would probably have had less consequences on my mental health. So this is like the type of situations where I realize, sometimes it's a lack of awareness, sometimes it's stress, sometimes it's trying to stick to old decisions that maybe are not even relevant anymore, and not having this sense of this sense of that there is an urgency to make the decision. So these are what I've learned about myself in this process. And what I found has helped me a lot to do things differently is how much I train myself to handle uncertainty and to handle when I don't have control or when things are a little bit ambiguous and there is no clear picture of what can be happening. And part of it just came naturally from the way I lived my life for the last 15 years. So I moved to 6 different countries where I had to, every single time rediscover a new culture, rediscover new people, live in a new place. So I had to handle, all the changes that comes with that. And there is a lot of uncertainty in that. I was also changing careers, so I worked in corporate, and then I worked as a business owner. And entrepreneurship is full of uncertainty. You never know if things are going to work, if people are going to work with you. There is also a lot of failure, and you don't necessarily know if you are going to be able to bounce back or things like that. And that already, just in the way I lived my life, just like the things I was doing naturally, and some of the decisions I made that led me there, obviously, were already training me to just have a bigger tolerance for uncertainty in general. Like I'm able to handle uncertainty in a different way than most people, and I don't necessarily get too scared directly. Like I have a bigger threshold before I start really freaking out about the decisions I have to make. So that's already kind of expanded what I was capable of doing versus when I was a student, and now that I'm turning 40, I can see the expansion there. But part of it was also that I train it more like voluntarily. So I always paid attention to challenging myself. I'm a coach. I'm really into personal development. So personal growth and always finding ways to grow is something that is one of my mindset. And that meant that I had to create uncertainty in my own life. Like, for instance, I had to start, posting on social media without any result guaranteed when I started the coaching business. And I'm also doing this right now with this video challenge. I absolutely do not know if that's going to go somewhere, but I'm still doing it and just, just trying things without any guarantee of results. That's one way I've trained uncertainty. I've also trained myself to make like smaller decisions and creating these tinier moments of uncertainty and engaging with them. So like really like stupidest things, like little thing you can imagine. Like for instance, I like to go. I'm living in London. I like to go out there and walk, and sometimes I just go without my phone and I just take one road, and I don't know where I'm going. And I'm just like, ooh, never been there. That road seems very nice. Ooh, the houses, the trees, the flowers. Let me go there. And then I just follow, and then I end up in places that I've never been to, and then I have to figure out, am I going to be able to come back home after that? Who knows? But it's a one of the way that is very very small and stupid way, but it's like I'm incorporating variety and uncertainty there because I don't know if I'm gonna make it or not. But it's training my brain to figure it out. It's training my brain to see, actually, you know what? Yeah, you were able to come back home, no problem. You're still safe. And same thing with painting. I do a lot of like intuitive painting at the moment. So I have a blank page and I just start painting something, and I don't really have a plan for what is going to happen, but I just start painting and then I see how the things are developing. And sometimes, it's very ugly, but sometimes it leads to somewhere interesting, and I really like what I've created at the end. But this is also a way of like, and letting go of just control in general, and knowing that, okay, there is uncertainty about what is going to happen there with this painting, but I'm still going to go through the process, and I'm going to lean into it and be interested, and see what happens. So these are like very very small things that I've done that actually train me a lot around, just giving myself regular challenges, going to new places, getting lost. I think it's one of the ways to handle taking risk as well. And it's like all of this is just like you build some confidence. You just like, okay, I'm making a decision, and then let's see what happens, and am I going to figure out what's next? And then you figure it out, and then you're like, okay, yeah, I can actually do that. And the more you do this, the more you kind of voluntarily use uncertainty to train yourself, the more you can expand that capacity to handle the risk, to handle the consequences, whether it's emotional consequences or physical consequences. But you can really start having more faith in yourself, and that's I think a big part around making decisions faster, is having this trust. And all of these exercises, I think, have led me to a really big mindset that I always carry with me when I have to make decisions. And the first one is reminding my brain about confidence and about the fact that I can figure it out. So usually it's like, brain, aren't we old enough yet? Haven't we made enough good decisions that gave us amazing results, and very poor decisions that we learned from, and we're still alive after that, and we survived, and we've always figured it out? Yes. So why are we freaking out about this decision right now? You're old enough. You already know how to do things. This is a conversation I have all the time with my brain, because it's like, hey, brain, look at the pile of evidence, the pile of proof, all the times where it was uncertain and you took a risk and you did not know if it was going to pay off and you still went for it. And then on the way, you figured things out and you actually got results. This is one thing that I always try to keep in mind. And I like to say this mantra, which is like, you always get what you want or you get what you need. Every time you take a decision and you follow up with action, obviously, either you're going to get what you wanted directly and you're going to get an amazing result from that decision, or you are going to get a less amazing result, but then you got what you needed. You have more information about what is not working there. You have more information about what actually maybe you wanted something else and you did not realize, and now it's clear that you wanted that too. And that will give you the next piece of information you need to move forward. So there is no loss in the decision. There is no reason to think that you are not going to survive it. You will, absolutely will. You are old enough. You are skilled enough. You're capable enough. You know that, right? You know it. Yeah. Okay. And yeah. So having this mindset around, just reminding your brain, okay, we've already figured it out so many times. No reason to doubt. No reason to doubt anymore. And then one thing I also remember is that having made multiple decisions, and some big ones, decisions are never a final step. Like the big decision that we sometimes are scared about, or we are like, this is a painful one to take, and sometimes we procrastinate on, it's just the first one. It's just, I'm going to move to this new country, or I'm going to accept this new job. And then, you have like the next step is, I need to figure out where I'm going to live. Oh, I need to figure out my visa. Oh, there are so many multiple others decisions you will have to make afterwards, that basically this big decision we get so stuck on and we think it's so big and overwhelming is actually just the beginning of feedback, the beginning of momentum, the beginning of more actions and more decisions. And when you look at it like this, I think it helped me sometimes to you kind of like, first of all, reduce the pressure and reduce this enormity of the decision. But also it's like, if I spend so much time fixating on this big decision and spending so much time wasting it and feeling pressured and feeling stressed about it, this is time that I could have been using to already make the decisions after that are actually going to make things happen. And that's, sometimes it's like, how am I using my time really? Is it really worth to have so much space used for that big decision versus spending a bit less time there and then having more time for the next steps? And just keeping that in mind, it's never a final step, it's always just the first step. And the other thing that I always remember, because I've seen it happen many times in all the decisions that I made, is that you have always more options than what you think you have. Like there have been times, for instance, I was closing my coaching business a while ago because the finances were not there. And, I was like, okay, what are my options? These options is like, I go back to a full-time job. That was basically my only option. But then I have to decide what type of job I wanted. And then I really felt there was only one type of job I could do. Or the other option was that I could, continue the business, but then take a part-time. And both of these options were, they had like pros and cons and things that were not really appealing. But then I realized, thinking a little bit more, actually, I could also, change location, because then I could pay less rent, which means that I had more money left, which means that I could keep running the business. And that's the third option that just popped up as I was, trying to expand a little bit what I was thinking, rather than being focused on just two ways things could have happened. And this really requires thinking with abundance. But if you look at your life, you will see sometimes you were maybe like, scared about something or scared of making a decision, and actually somebody else mentioned another alternative idea, and you're like, oh, actually, yeah, that would actually be better. So there are always more options than what we see directly, particularly when we are in this stress moment where we are really focused on, what's in front of us, and the thing that is a bit scary or a bit, feels that big. It's easy to see only option A or B, or thinking black and white, and having, coming back from a place of abundance and thinking, okay, what are all the other possibilities there? Maybe they are not perfect either, but maybe the more you think about it, you are going to find different angles that you can combine together, and you can get a better solution at the end. So yeah, I think this is another mindset I've realized from all these experiences, that sometimes I did not see the solution myself, but somebody else could, or the universe just sent me another option, and I could deal with that one. So yeah, so these are the three mindset, always reminding your brain that you are actually capable, and making sure that you're not just like that you don't see that decision as final, but just as a beginning of momentum, and also know that you have multiple options that you can play with. And more in practice, a few things I do as well when I really want to make decisions, and it's I've done already the work of knowing, okay, yes, I can handle uncertainty. I have all this mindset. I make sure in practice that, first of all, when I'm making a big decision, like I'm talking like decisions or like career decisions or things like that, I always check where I am in terms of just mindfulness and mental health. Because if I'm not in a good place, then it's very hard for me to listen to my intuition. It's very hard for me to not operate from a survival mode, and therefore focus on specific options that are probably less good for me than if I was in a better place where I can feel with more abundance and more calm and more peace and less fear in general and less stress. So it's always my first check. Am I in a good place there? Because if I'm not, then the work is not to take a decision. The work is to go and calm myself down and just, enjoy peacefully a moment of calm before I go back and I tackle this one. And I always try to also, when I do this, so obviously reviewing the past decisions that I made. So I was mentioning you already make good decisions and bad decisions in your life. So I always try to look back and think, okay, when I made a bad decision, what was missing? Because it's usually because I forgot that something was important and I did not take this into consideration when I choose place. For instance, I had time where I chose to join a specific organization and a team, and I did not pay attention. But for me, for instance, being around people who are really excellence driven and really good communicators and very like honest people is really, really critical. And I ended up in a team that was not based on that at all. I was more like lack of transparency and, people doing their job with not really any engagement and a bit of mediocrity there. And that did not work well for me. And it's something that I kind of bypassed when I made the decision initially. And I've learned from that poor decision that this doesn't work. So next time I choose a company I want to work with, excellence mindset needs to be there, transparent communication needs to be there as a kind of non-negotiable. And same thing with good decisions. When I made decisions, for instance, to follow some hobbies and really get very involved into, for instance, sport development. I've been doing that for a few years now. What helped me there is like thinking, oh, actually, I can learn a lot. I could see the path and I could see that how many possibilities of development that were going to happen there. And that for me is also an important criteria. So anything I do, I need to be able to see that there is a learning opportunity and a growth opportunity. If it's not there, then I know it's not going to be a good decision for me. So all these things that I've learned from previous experiences, I try to really gather them before I make any decision, just like refresh my brain and like, brain, remember, these are the important stuff, these are the non-negotiable. And also thinking about, obviously, about my goals. So if I know what I want to achieve in a specific area of my life and I need to make a decision about it, then I can look at my goals that I created when I was in a way calmer place, where there were more certainty, where I could really listen to myself, and I know these are the things that I really, really want. So that gives me some kind of like grounding space to make a decision and to make a quality decision. And then because I have this more like certainty or like more confidence in where I'm starting from, it's also easier to make the decisions faster. The other thing that I do is try to speak it out loud and write it rather than just letting it in my head, because it can stay up there and ruminate, and then it takes way more space than what I want. So I always try to kind of even just journal. When something pops up, I just journal it somewhere, so it's in a place where I can look at it when I want to make the decision without having to let it run up there. And as I was mentioning, always trying to think first about what are the multiple options that I have there. If I can only see I have option A or option B, then I know it's not the moment to take a decision. It's first I need to have my brain be in a place where I can think with more abundance and just get different options. So it can be from people, it can be from ChatGPT, it can be from, just the universe sending me a random Instagram reel or whatever. But anything that just inspires me a little bit more to think with abundance is something that I do before I make any decisions. And then, I decide, I say, okay, this seems to be the better option. And then I start planning steps directly, because the important bit is what I was mentioning earlier, is that relief and that momentum that can come from decisions. And I know that if I decide something, but then I don't do anything, whether it's directly or it's in the next few days, it doesn't have to be a rush completely, but just knowing, okay, I've made this decision, this is my first step, so that my brain can see, actually, okay, yeah, we made a decision now. now we are cool. We can go for it and start building the next steps. So yeah, these are more like practical steps, but they complement what I've learned in terms of mindset and in terms of how I handle uncertainty in general. And yeah, it's very hard for me to, train you to be also somebody who makes decisions faster. But I can guarantee you that if you start trusting yourself more, if you just start trusting that you can handle life because you've already done it, you are not 2 years old. You're probably older than that if you're watching this video. And that means that you have proof already. That means that you have already made decisions. So you have some backgrounds on what makes a good decision versus a less good decision. And you can really leverage all this into like making the decisions faster. And yeah, just moving from what if I make the wrong decision to I'm actually capable of handling the consequences of that. I know it's because I trust myself as a human being is really the biggest change that you will need to make there. So if you're not there yet, don't worry, just go out there, train your uncertainty, find ways where you can have a bit less control and just train your tolerance for uncertainty in general, and then start making the decisions faster in different areas of your life, and you will see at some point you will be super confident, and you will also be able to stop second guessing your life decision, which is one of the best feelings in the world. So yeah, I wish you that. And if you are new to this channel, my name is Chloe, and I'm recording daily videos to share what I've learned as I'm turning 40 very soon. So what I've learned, what I've unlearned, and all the things that I think are very helpful to live a very fulfilling and full of freedom life. So if that's of interest for you, subscribe, and I see you tomorrow for another video.